First of all, Bitcoin, gold, and silver, though they have value, and one could say that they have intrinsic value, they don't have any fundamental value, but they have intrinsic value. I mean, it's gold, it's silver, and Bitcoin is driven by enthusiasm, so that I wouldn't even consider that any kind of fundamental. But here's the thing and regardless of where you are on that is irrelevant. So aside from that, let me just mention this. I don't disagree with your perception of things at all. I don't disagree with it. I think you're spot on. We would be naive at best to think that the Federal Reserve or that our currency is not going through a problem. But here's the thing. We can't even, I would hope that people would stop believing that gold or silver are going to do anybody any good in times of a currency collapse. If anybody out there thinks that they're going to go to the grocery store, slice down some gold on the scale, and buy their bag of groceries, they're living in a twilight zone. It isn't going to happen. It's not even going to be legal. It's going to be an illegal form of currency. They don't have to pass it. It's already on the books from 1935. And it's going to be made illegal. They're not, if our currency were to collapse, there is no logic at all to believe that the federal government is going to allow, and it's going to take them to allow an alternative currency to undermine what they've already put in the toilet. They're not going to do it. They're never going to do that. It's not even logical to think that. And there are going to be an awful lot of people that are going to buy these alternatives, or what they perceive to be alternatives, because of the great salesmanship and propaganda out there. They're going to buy this stuff, and they're going to end up selling it on the black market to get some of the worthless dollars they were trying to avoid in the first place, just so they can buy a loaf of bread. It is insanity to think that that is going to happen. The only thing that is more insane about gold and silver is to believe that Bitcoin in and of itself, not cryptocurrency, but Bitcoin in and of itself is going to be a legitimate currency. There will be a one world currency, make no mistake about it, and it will be sooner than everybody thinks. Janet Yellen has flat out said that she's a communist globalist, and she is for a one world currency. She is talking about the stable currency. The stable dollar is what she's using as terminology. Maybe it's going to be an electronic currency purely. Maybe it's going to be a cryptocurrency of some sort. I believe the one world currency is going to come out of the IMF, not out of the Federal Reserve. But nonetheless, we're going to have some sort of currency, electronic, crypto, whatever. There's going to be something. But imagine this for a minute, that the IRS and the government is going to allow a Bitcoin to be the main source of currency when they can't trace it, when there's no accountability. Billions of dollars every single month get stolen from Bitcoin. Billions every single month. Last month it was 11 million. The month before that it was 11 billion. The month before that it was 9 billion. You never hear about it. Disappears. It just disappears. Listen, we got the IRS is going to be desperate for every dollar they can get. They're going to be taxing us more than we can even imagine. And we can probably imagine some pretty large numbers. I'm telling you, they're going to be taxing everything that moves. They can't have Bitcoin. They're not going to be able to find it. There's not going to be any accountability. They're going to do what China just did. It's going to be outlawed. There's not going to be any until Bitcoin is in fact recognized by a central bank, and the central bank that recognizes it has put into place some form of accountability on that coin. How would you like to have $1 million worth of Bitcoin only to find out that it's gone the next day and you don't know where it went? You can't trace it. That's why there's so much terrorism, and they all use Bitcoin for their sources because it can't be traced. And so there's got to be, whatever the currency ends up being, there's got to be, for taxing purposes on all of us, a level of accountability. So you can say what you want. Bitcoin's going through the roof today. You can say what you want about those things and the value of them. It's great if you want to buy it and you want to sell it tomorrow. By the way, silver has had some of the worst performance it's ever had in the last 3 months. It's not going to do any good when it comes down to some sort of accountability. And think about this. If the Federal Reserve crashes and burns, guess who's taking care of our monetary system? Congress. They can't even manage their lunch money. And they're going to be taking care of our monetary system. So we could kiss the whole monetary system off and just live in a depression until some communist regime takes us over. I mean, it's insanity when we think through it. We can't look at what is happening today from an economic perspective without putting some sense of logic to it. There are certain places that it can go, and there are certain places that it absolutely can't go for the reason of just pure logic. It's going to undermine a bad system even more. Nobody is going to allow that. Not Switzerland, not Sweden, not Norway, the greatest sovereign wealth fund in the world. None of those are going to allow something untraceable and something to come in to undermine what is already given. We don't have to like it. I don't like it, but giving credibility from a central bank that's not worth the paper it's written on. So I'm saying I don't disagree with any of your premise, but what I disagree with is there's a whole lot of people that are going to be in a whole lot more trouble than the average Joe, because they're not going to have two nickels to rub together because they put so much money and faith in something that has no fundamental value whatsoever. People say to me all the time, well, the fundamentals of gold are really good. And I always say to them, what would those fundamentals be? What would they be? It's shiny, it's pretty, it's heavy. I mean, what fundamentals are you talking about? There aren't any. And until the biggest mistake we made was go off the gold standard. People say, well, we're going to go back on the gold gold system. Do you know how many dollars we have printed? There's not enough gold in the world to back our dollars. So what does that mean? There has to be a dramatic reduction and a dramatic devaluation in everything in order for that to happen. And I think someday, with a right government and after a collapse, we could rise up, not likely, but we could rise up, and we will be on some sort of commodity-based system. Gold, silver, platinum, wheat, oil, nat gas. We could be on some sort of commodity-based backing, which would be wonderful. And I hope we go that road. I wouldn't put all my faith in cryptocurrency right now, gold or silver, even though we might end up on we're going to end up on some form of electronic currency. Hey, remember to click the subscribe button right here on the screen. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when new content is added. And more importantly than anything, you don't want to miss all 3 live hours of financial issues every day from 9 to noon. And you can watch it on FISM.tv. That's FISM.tv.